I was fired by the president's wife, who ordered that I never be hired again. The male assistant finally felt relieved. The next day, she received an urgent message from the finance department. Mr. Sue has left the company, and the company now has only $100 left in its account. We can no longer pay the property management fees at all. Her wife was completely shocked. The floor-to-ceiling windows in the top executive office are so transparent that they create a dazzling effect. She tapped the table's surface with her fingertips. Her makeup was exquisite, her expression cold and indifferent, with not even a trace of warmth in her eyes. A superior attitude, as if dealing with something completely useless and outdated. Jiang. I looked up at her, calmly saying, Mr. Lin, go ahead. From now on, you are fired from the company. I raised my eyebrows slightly, without any unnecessary emotions. Reasons. Lin Wanqing looked up at me, her tone indifferent and sarcastic. There's no need for any reasons. I am the company's second largest shareholder, and I have the power to appoint or dismiss any employee I want. You have served as an employee for 3 years. Taking advantage of your position as a senior member of the company, you repeatedly interfered in the company's core affairs. Being too authoritarian in decision-making, and not knowing when to stop, makes one unworthy of staying in a team. These fabricated charges were spoken from her lips with ease. There is no evidence, no verification, and not even any advanced communication at all. I stared at her. Did I go beyond my limits? All the core funding chains of the company, including early-stage financing, capital turnover, and risk management measures, were all established by me. The company was on the verge of bankruptcy several times. It was I who had to make up for those deficits overnight. Did I go too far? Lin Wanqing's eyes flashed with a hint of impatience, which quickly turned into deep disdain. Those are all things that come within my responsibilities. Working for a salary doesn't give you the right to act arbitrarily or interfere with the decisions made by the management team. My husband is too busy expanding our business operations, so he doesn't have time to take care of the internal affairs. You must be taking advantage of this situation to gain power, but you have too much ambition. I laughed, but my laughter couldn't reach my eyes. So you decide to dismiss me just based on your own assumptions? It's not just about firing people. Lin Wanqing sat up slightly, her tone completely cold. I have already informed everyone involved in the industry, including partners and talent markets. Jiang, I will never let you be hired by this company. The moment this sentence was spoken, the entire audience was stunned. But still, no one dared to speak up and stop them. The administrative director beside him turned pale, and couldn't help but whisper words of advice to him. President Lin, Jiang is the company's most important financial resource. Without him, the company will face serious problems in terms of funding. Please think carefully about this. Shut up. Lin Wanqing interrupted him in a cold voice. The company was founded by me and my husband together. It can be transferred to anyone who chooses to take over it. With one more person who thinks they are a hero, the company will become even more organized. The fact that he remains here is the biggest potential danger. She looked at me, her eyes filled with the disdain of a winner, and an indifferentness that seemed like a kind act. Jiang, I know you don't agree with this decision. But that's just how the workplace works. The ones who are in positions of power always have the final say. You're too noticeable and too capable. You've already drawn the attention of everyone around you. Today, I will dismiss you. First, to streamline the team, and second, to help you understand your place within the organization. I stared at her intently, memorizing every aspect of her indifferent expression, every harsh word she said. The efforts made over the past 3 years, staying up late, working overtime, providing financial support, taking on risks, and offering full support, now seem utterly ridiculous. I wasn't angry or emotional, nor did I engage in hysterical arguments. The more I was treated with indifference, the more calm I became. Are you sure? I spoke in a soft voice. I am absolutely sure. Lin Wanqing spoke with a firm tone, showing no sign of hesitation. Immediately hand over all your work. Leave the company within today. From now on, you are not allowed to enter this place again. I've informed all the companies in this industry about your situation. No one will dare to hire you. The senior executives around me all lowered their heads, not daring to look me directly in the eyes. They all knew in their hearts that I was the backbone of the company. But no one dared to offend Lin Wanqing, who held the majority of the shares. I nodded slowly, releasing the reports that I had been holding tightly in my fingers. Okay. I'm going. The word simple describes something that is neat, clean, and straightforward. There was no entanglement, no attempts at justification. When Lin Wanqing saw that I was submitting, the hostility in her eyes disappeared, and she seemed somewhat proud. In her eyes, I was merely forced to compromise and give up. If I had been sensible from the beginning, there would be no need for causing such embarrassment. It's time to pack up and leave. For your 3 years of hard work, I will pay you your regular monthly salary as a reward. I looked at her, my tone calm and unchanging. No need. I don't want my salary at all. I hope that Director Lin will not regret your decision today. Lin Wanqing sneered loudly, her voice filled with mockery. Regret? I never regret dismissing an ordinary employee. You're overestimating yourself, Jiang Yi. If you leave this company, you will become nothing at all. I didn't say anything more. I turned around and walked away, straight out of this office that symbolizes power. The steps are steady, and the back is straight. There was not even a little bit of embarrassment. Behind her, Lin Wanqing's voice sounded again, filled with a commanding tone of warning. Remember my words, leave this place, and find a quiet job in some small factory. Stop trying to climb up high, and don't interfere with matters that don't belong to you. I didn't look back at all during the entire process. As I walked through the quiet office area, countless eyes followed my every move. Sympathy, regret, and smirch, all these emotions. I returned to my workstation, without bothering to tidy up any loose items or clutter. I don't take any of those less valuable office supplies with me. I have only accessed my personal backend, and checked and locked all the personal investment records that belong to me. I have also archived them accordingly. Over the past 3 years, I have invested a total of 30 billion in this company. It all belongs to my personal private assets. No interest required, no compensation offered in exchange for services. We have never used a single cent of the company's resources, and we have never requested any dividends or shares in exchange for our efforts. I helped them to sustain a company with a market value of tens of billions. In the end, it led to a situation where they were forced to abandon their business and face permanent closure. Since they don't show any affection at all, there's no need to leave any room for compromise at all. I quickly completed all the procedures related to locking up the funds, and kept all necessary legal documents. Every investment record, transfer transaction, and risk control agreement is clearly and completely documented, and fully legally valid. After finishing all these tasks, I turned off the computer and stood up to leave my workstation. As soon as he reached the elevator, the administrative officer rushed up to him. Brother Jiang, is it really impossible to find another way? Maybe President Lin just said something out of anger. Wait until the president comes back, then we can discuss this further. I turned my head to look at him, and said calmly, There's no need to wait. From the moment she ordered that they should never be employed again, all relationships between them were nullified. The elevator doors slowly closed. All external sights and sounds are blocked out. In that tiny elevator, the last trace of warmth in my eyes completely disappeared. 30 billion in capital represents my greatest offer of goodwill and support for this company. Now, the goodwill is no longer valid, and the confidence has been withdrawn. Lin Wanqing believed that by firing me, she could control my life and death. But she didn't know that what she had pushed open with her own hands was the only lifeline that supported the entire company. She bet that I have nothing at all, that I have no power to resist. Then I will let her see with her own eyes what happens when a single thought can cause a building to collapse. The car was parked by the roadside. I got into the driver's seat and dialed the number for my private financial advisor. Answered immediately by phone. A calm and deliberate voice immediately came from the financial department. Mr. Jiang, I am ready to serve at all times. I looked straight ahead, speaking in a calm and decisive tone. Please obtain all of my personal investment records from the past 3 years at Kihing Group. I want to initiate the process of withdrawing all my investments. There was a short pause on the other end of the line. Mr. Jiang, if the entire 30 billion yuan is withdrawn from the company, it will immediately deplete the company's liquidity. Are you sure you want to proceed with this decision? Execute. I didn't hesitate for a moment. Follow a legal and compliant process for withdrawing private investments, without any loopholes or delays of even a second. Understood. All operations are carried out in compliance with regulations. I will organize and archive all transaction records, agreements, and settlement documents, and send them to your private terminal immediately. I hung up the phone and started driving the vehicle. I didn't look back at that tall office building. Inside the office, Lin Wanqing continued to sit at her desk. Several senior executives gathered around, speaking carefully. President Lin, Jiang Yi really left. He didn't bother anyone at all. He spent 3 years working in the company, managing the core funds and crucial resources. To leave so suddenly and cleanly. It's very unusual. Lin Wanqing's fingers swept across the documents on the table. Her tone was lazy and arrogant. Abnormal? It's simply a way of accepting reality, without the courage to resist. He has no background or support. He relies on Qihing to gain a foothold in society. After being fired and blocked from continuing his activities, he has no other choice but to give up. Someone bravely reminded President Lin, most of the company's working capital was funded by Jiang Yi personally. There is no contractual obligation, and he could withdraw his funds at any time. It's best for us to have a plan in place in advance. Lin Wanqing raised her eyes, her gaze filled with disdain. You've overestimated him too much. He provided funds to help the company stay afloat, in order to keep his high-paying position. Now that he's been fired, he probably just feels angry inside. He definitely wouldn't dare to actually withdraw the funds. 30 billion? If he dares to withdraw, he will completely cut off all his options. Who in the industry would dare to employ someone who has caused the collapse of a cooperative company? Another senior executive quickly agreed. President Lin is right. Jiang Yi has always been a person of integrity and perseverance. He always considers the consequences of his actions carefully, and definitely wouldn't risk everything in a desperate situation. He didn't make any noise or cause any trouble today. It seems like he's accepting that he lost. Lin Wanqing raised her eyebrows slightly, her tone becoming increasingly contemptuous. I actually thought it would be appropriate to give him some dignity after all the hard work he's put in over the past 3 years. Since he isn't sensible at all, leaving him alone would be his best outcome. In the future, with the company operating in a more standardized manner, there will be no need for those senior executives who have played such important roles to still hold power and interfere in the operations of the company. As soon as the words were spoken, she picked up her phone and called her husband, Gu Chen. The call was connected. Gu Chen's gentle voice came through the speaker. Wanqing, what's the matter? I'm in the middle of discussing a partnership with someone else. Lin Wanqing spoke with a tone that seemed to imply a desire for recognition. Honey, I fired Jiang Yike, and I also blacklisted him from all industries. He will never be hired again. On the other end of the line, Gu Chen seemed to be momentarily stunned. Why? Jiang Yi is the core pillar of our company. Everything depends on him for funding and project management. How could he be fired without any reason? It's because he's too noticeable/obvious. Lin Wanqing spoke in a tone that was both aggrieved and assertive. He acts as a senior member of the board, interfering in the decisions of the management team. Many matters related to the company are handled without my input at all. In his eyes, we shareholders don't even exist at all. I won't suppress him. In the future, the entire company will be under his control. Gu Chun remained silent for a few seconds, but in the end, he could only sigh helplessly. You act too impulsively. But you are a shareholder of the company. I won't object to your decisions. You should take care of the situation from now on. Lin Wanqing immediately relaxed, smiling, and said, Don't worry, what kind of situation could possibly arise? He's just an ordinary worker. Without us at Qiheng, he isn't anything at all. When you return, the company will be more organized and more obedient to orders. Gu Qing didn't want to bother himself with trivial matters. He answered the call casually and quickly hung up the phone, then continued to work on the project in another city. With her husband's approval, Lin Wanqing felt completely relieved and secure. In her opinion, she has won this game completely. The secretary beside him asked in a hushed voice, President Lin, what should we do next to coordinate with Jian Yi's current core project? All of them will be recovered and taken over by the management team. Lin Wanqing spoke without thinking. The things he can do, our team can also do. Don't turn an ordinary employee into a savior for the company. No one dared to object anymore. Everyone had to bow their heads in submission. No one dared to tell her that, behind those seemingly ordinary projects, every aspect related to funding and risk management was actually supported by my personal funds. No one dared to warn her that the so-called team takeover simply didn't have the necessary funding and capabilities to be successful. At the same time, my personal phone received real-time notifications from the finance department. Disposal process completed. Approval has been granted. All funding settlement channels are now available. All previous non-monetary investments, emergency funds, and funds used to cover emergencies have been withdrawn back according to the law. Over the past 3 years, I have been responsible for bearing all the risks faced by this company, filling all the gaps that needed to be addressed, and providing the necessary support to keep the company going forward. From this moment on, all withdrawals must be returned. I stared at the dense array of legal settlement documents on the screen, with an expressionless face. Lin Wanqing thinks that my patience and endurance are signs of weakness. They thought that my efforts were something that deserved to be given without any reason. They thought that my concessions meant I was completely helpless. She recklessly trampled my sincerity, erased my contributions, and blocked all paths for me to follow. Then I will take back all the gifts I gave her, and let her bear the consequences of her own actions. The car drove away from the commercial district, and I turned off all my work-related communications. That bustling and lively commercial center no longer has any connection with me anymore. The prosperity of Qiheng Group never came from the platform itself. It's me who has made this entire platform thrive. I wait patiently for the storm to arrive. I will wait patiently for that high-up boss woman to see what exactly she has pushed aside. The collapse that stems from her arrogance and self-confidence is just beginning to take shape. It's exactly midnight. The urgent transfer for my personal financial matters was sent to my phone on time. Without any unnecessary preludes, let's get straight to the point. Mr. Jiang, the final review of the capital withdrawal process is complete. 3 billion in personal investment funds have been completely transferred out of the Qiheng Group's account and returned to your private account. I replied indifferently. Confirm the archiving process. Create 3 copies of the backup files so that they can be retained permanently. Completed. The phone call was hung up quickly and efficiently. At this moment, the core funding that had been crucial for the operation of Qiheng Group for 3 years has completely dried up. The next morning, the headquarters of Qiheng Group arrived at work on time. The entire building remains brightly lit, and everyone is still immersed in the peaceful atmosphere created by the dismissal of the senior members and the elimination of internal power struggles from yesterday. Lin Wanqing arrived at her post at 9 o'clock on time. As soon as she entered the office, several senior managers immediately approached her. President Lin, the working capital of the core project seems to be incorrect. Lin Wanqing took off her handbag, her voice calm and neutral. What's wrong? Just keep going with the usual routine. This morning, we started processing the payments for regular projects and settling payments with suppliers. However, the system indicated that there is not enough balance available. All sub-accounts and backup funds pools have been checked. They all contain empty values. Lin Wanqing's expression became somber. Looking at the overall account, the main account of the group contains billions of dollars in liquid capital. How is it possible for this amount to be completely empty? Several senior executives looked at each other, none of them daring to speak up. After a short while, the chief financial officer rushed into the office in a hurry. His face was pale, and his hands were clenched tightly around the financial statements. His breathing was also irregular. President Lin, something terrible has happened. Lin Wanqing raised her eyes, her tone filled with impatience. Why panic? It's the headquarters of a powerful corporation. Just a trivial matter can cause chaos in the entire organization. The chief financial officer gritted his teeth tightly, his voice trembling as he said, The main account of the company is completely empty. All working capital, reserve funds, and emergency funds have been liquidated and withdrawn. Currently, the company's corporate account has a total balance of 98 yuan and 60 cents. As soon as these words were spoken, the office became completely silent. Several high-ranking officials stood there frozen in place, their eyes filled with disbelief. Lin Wanqing's calm expression suddenly disappeared, and her eyes became sharp and fierce. What are you talking about? A staggering 30 billion in capital reserves, along with billions of dollars in cash reserves. How is it possible for all of that to be depleted in just one night? Is there a problem with the system? Did we make a mistake in the reconciliation process? We need to rerun the report immediately. The report has been redone 3 times already. All verifications have been completed, system checks, bank reconciliation, and back-end tracing. Everything is now in order. The financial director's hands trembled as he placed the printed statements on the desk. All of the funds were personally invested by Mr. Jiang Yi. After leaving his position yesterday, he initiated the legal process for withdrawing all investments. All invested funds have been withdrawn by now. Previously, we relied entirely on his private interest-free funds to keep the company running. Without this funding, the company's assets would have dropped to zero. Lin Wanqing stared at the bill on the table, her pupils contracting violently. It's clearly written down in black and white. The bank's official seal and legal records are undeniable, with no room for any falsification. Her throat felt tight, and she still couldn't believe it. It's impossible. He's just a worker who works here. How does he dare to withdraw capital? What right does he have to take away the group's core funds? The chief financial officer smiled bitterly, his words feeling utterly heartbreaking. Mr. Lin, those funds were never considered part of the company's assets. Over the past 3 years, every crisis that the company faced, every expansion it undertook, and every time it encountered financial difficulties, Jiang Yi has always been the one who stepped in to cover these challenges personally. He is an investor, not an employee. He's withdrawing his own money, and it's completely legal and compliant with all regulations. There's no way for us to stop him, nor can we sue him. Lin Wanqing's body suddenly swayed violently. She always thought that I was just a worker who relied on Qiheng to survive. She always thought that all her efforts were aimed at keeping her job. It wasn't until now that she understood. I never was anything like a parasite that relies on platforms for support. I am the investor who has supported the entire platform. She forced herself to control her anxiety, immediately picked up her phone, and called my number. The call was connected immediately, without any preliminary greetings. Her voice carried the anger and panic that she had tried to suppress. "Jiang, you must immediately stop all the capital withdrawal operations." I spoke in a calm tone. "Reasons? Are you crazy?" Lin Wanqing's voice suddenly became much louder. "Do you realize that withdrawing your investment will completely ruin the entire company? I only tried to give you a few words of advice yesterday. Demoting you is meant to set a boundary for you. But do you really think you can completely eliminate all those who try to undermine you? I will immediately return the funds to their original source. This matter can be forgiven, and you can be reinstated to your position immediately." I found her words completely absurd when I heard them. They seemed to be the opposite of what she said. Let bygones be bygones. Lin Wanqing, yesterday when you ordered a permanent ban on me in the industry, why didn't you consider that this decision shouldn't be taken retrospectively? That's just nonsense. Lin Wanqing spoke rapidly, completely losing her balance and her emotions. Being fired from a job or facing verbal threats are all the norm in the workplace. Do you really want to risk the future of a company worth 30 billion just to vent your anger? Please make up the money right now. I will apologize to you publicly, and restore all of your positions back. Do you agree? No. I held my tongue, without showing any sign of relaxation. My funds, my rights, I withdraw them in accordance with the law, and it is a reasonable and legal action. You cut off my path yesterday. Today, I take back my gift. It's simply a matter of fairness. Lin Wanqing became extremely anxious, and her tone became threatening. Jiang, don't go too far. If you manage to ruin Qiheng, then the entire industry will know that you're trying to cause trouble behind the scenes. No one will dare to cooperate with you in the future. Whatever. I responded indifferently. I don't rely on any company platforms to make a living. Well, Qiheng Group. Without the financial support from me, can you even get through today? The other end of the line fell into a brief silence. After a few seconds, Lin Wanqing's voice, filled with trembling arrogance, managed to maintain her last shred of dignity. You're trying to scare who? Our company has a solid foundation, with projects all over the place, and we have countless partners. Without those 30 billion, we can still operate smoothly. I chuckled lightly. Okay. Then you should hold on slowly. I simply hung up the phone and blocked all of her contact information. In the office, Lin Wanqing held the phone in her hands. Her fingertips were cold, and her face was pale as if it were made of iron. The chief financial officer looked at her with a bitter tone in his voice. Ms. Lin, this is not the time to act on impulse. This morning, the property management sent out a notice demanding payment. The quarterly property management fees and maintenance fees total 3.8 million yuan. These payments must be made by today. The settlement payments for the cooperative supply chain, employee salaries, and project advances are all scheduled to be settled today. On paper, I have 98 yuan in savings. Not only is it not enough to cover expenses, but even the costs related to office utilities today are not enough either. A senior official said with a trembling voice. There's also the quarterly risk control checks conducted by the bank. They will come to our office this afternoon to verify our financial transactions. If the funding gap is too large, it will trigger an immediate risk alert, and all remaining business ports will be frozen. One crisis after another arises, with no room for any. Lin Wanqing stood still, her mind completely blank. The arrogance, contempt, and sense of control that one had yesterday completely collapsed at this moment. She finally began to realize something vaguely. Yesterday, my own actions, which were based on arrogance and trying to show off my authority, didn't just result in the dismissal of an ordinary employee. It was the act of cutting off the only foundation that had saved his company over the past 3 years. The storm has officially made landfall. And her nightmare has just begun. The senior management of Qiheng Group held an urgent meeting behind closed doors. Everyone's faces were pale, and no one sat down during the meeting. The chief financial officer stood at the front, holding the collection notice in his hand. His voice was extremely tense. The legal notice regarding property management has been sent out. You have only 2 hours to pay off the $2.8 million property fees. If the terms are not met, water and electricity supply will be cut off immediately, and the office premises will be sealed off. Additionally, a report will be submitted to the Industry Association to highlight the breach of contract. The head of the marketing department suddenly raised his hand, his voice filled with panic. It's not just the property management department. All 3 key supply chain partners have sent notices this morning, announcing the suspension of their cooperation. All aspects related to raw material supply, equipment maintenance, and channel promotion must be suspended immediately. The other party has clearly stated that if our funds are discovered to be completely empty, they will refuse any credit-based cooperation. Lin Wanqing stood at the main seat, trying hard to suppress the panic in her heart. She still refused to lower her stance. What's the hurry? They're all longtime partners who have worked together for many years. We'll communicate by phone, postpone the payment, and focus on stabilizing the project first. Mr. Lin, it's useless. The operations director gave a bitter smile and shook his head. All partners have agreed to speak in a unified manner. They have been acting under the pressure from Mr. Jiang, providing us with unconditional credit periods, advance payments, and tolerance for errors. Now that Mr. Jiang has withdrawn his investment and left the company, everyone believes that we have completely lost any chance of survival. No one is willing to give us any further opportunities. These words deeply resonated with everyone in the meeting room. Lin Wanqing's shoulders suddenly became stiff. She always believed that all the cooperation resources and industry connections in the company were thanks to her husband, Gu Qin, who worked hard to acquire them. It wasn't until now that I realized that the one who really keeps all the partners on track is me, who always keeps a backroom role behind the scenes. She still wasn't giving up easily. She immediately took out her phone and called several of her major partners to talk with their bosses. The first phone call was immediately hung up. The second call was connected, but the tone of the voice was cold. Mr. Lin, there's no need for further words. Over the past 3 years, every time your company encountered problems such as breaches of contract, delays in payment, or other issues, it was Jiang Yiji who personally came to resolve them. We trust Jiang Yi's reputation, not Qiheng's brand. He's gone, and our partnership is over. There's no need for any further discussions. As soon as the words were spoken, the phone was hung up immediately. After several consecutive calls, the outcomes were all the same. Without any mercy or leniency, all cooperation will be terminated immediately. The conference room was filled with dead silence. The HR director rushed in quickly, speaking at a rapid pace. President Lin, there are new problems. Frontline employees have discovered that their company accounts have insufficient balances, and their salaries cannot be paid. As a result, many employees are submitting applications for resignation. All the key members of the technology team and project team have stopped working and are waiting to see what will happen. No one is actually doing anything. One crisis after another arises, completely rendering any possibility of the company continuing to operate. Lin Wanqing tightly held the phone in her fingers, her knuckles turning white from gripping so hard. Her voice was filled with obsessive stubbornness. It's impossible. Gu Qin is still out of town, negotiating a huge deal worth hundreds of millions. As soon as he returns, all these crises will be resolved. Just a few million in property management fees, a few partnerships in the supply chain. Those aren't really problems at all. She immediately dialed her husband Gu Chen's video call, trying to seize the last chance for survival. The video connection is established. Gu Chen is located in a high-end business meeting room, with his partner team behind him. He looks calm and composed. What's the matter? I'm just going to sign the contract now. We can talk about the details later. Lin Wanqing couldn't hold back anymore. Her voice trembled with tears of distress. Gu Chen, something terrible happened to the company. The account has no money at all. I can't afford to pay the property management fees. All the partners have withdrawn their investments. Many employees have quit their jobs. Jiang Yi withdrew all of the 30 billion. The calm expression on Gu Chen's face disappeared instantly, and his pupils contracted sharply. What did you say? He withdrew all of his capital. Lin Wanqing quickly shouted out in panic. Yesterday, I just wanted to give him a little push and scare him into submission. Who would have thought that he really dared to drain the company's resources? You need to find a solution quickly. Come back and help right now. The background noise in the meeting room immediately ceased. The CEO of that huge number of partners was shocked when he heard that $30 billion were withdrawn from the company, leaving the company with nothing but a hollow shell. His expression changed completely on the spot. Gu Chen's body became rigid, and his back was instantly covered in cold sweat. He finally understood how big of a mistake it was to have acquiesced in his wife's impulsive decisions yesterday. He, filled with intense anger, asked in a low voice, I've told you several times already. Jiang Yi is our most important asset. We cannot risk losing him at any cost. Why don't you listen to me? Who would know that he was so extreme? Lin Wanqing felt both anxious and frustrated, and tried to defend herself forcefully. He's just an employee. Discharging him or blocking him from continuing to work is a normal decision made by the management team. It's his narrow-mindedness and selfish revenge that led to the company's downfall. Shut up! Gu Chen was the first time he got so angry with her. You really don't understand at all. Over the past 3 years, all of the company's expansions, financing efforts, and risk management efforts have been supported by Jiang Yi's personal funds. All the partnerships I have established with others are possible because of Jiang Yi's financial strength. Everyone values my reputation, and they trust me because of Jiang Yi's capabilities. Do you really think that Qiheng's reputation and resources were obtained through me? They were all achieved through his use of money. Lin Wanqing was completely confused, staring blankly at the screen. She had never heard her husband say such words before. She always lived within her own perceptions, believing that her husband was her only support, and that she was merely a tool for him to use in order to survive. At that moment, the CEO of the partner company, who was watching the video, spoke up, his tone cold and decisive. President Gu, the deal for the billion-dollar project has been finalized. It can now be terminated immediately. Your company's financial situation has completely collapsed. The key investors have withdrawn their investments, and the company now lacks any value as a partner for others. This cooperation is voided. No further discussions will be held in the future. After saying that, the other parties simply hung up the video call. The cooperation worth hundreds of billions has come to an end. All the efforts that Gu Chen made in going to other places were instantly nullified. Gu Chen's face was pale with anger, and his chest was filled with rage. He shouted at Lin Wanqing in a cold, furious voice. Are you satisfied? A sense of arrogance that has no meaning at all has destroyed the company's 3-year-long success and countless partnerships. Lin Wanqing was completely panicked. Tears immediately streamed down her face as she frantically explained. I didn't do this on purpose. I just wanted to rectify the situation in the company. I didn't expect things to go this way. Unexpectedly so? Gu Chen's tone was icy and harsh. You hold a high position as a shareholder, and you act without thinking carefully. You simply take advantage of those who have made contributions without any consideration for others. Jiang Yi has endured for 3 years without ever competing for power or seeking profit. He has always been there to ensure the company's safety and stability. But you, instead, completely eliminated him. Now all the consequences will have to be borne by oneself. After saying that, Gu Chen simply ended the video call, completely cutting off all communication. In the conference room, all the senior officials kept their heads down and held their breath. No one dared to make a sound. Everyone knows that Chihing Group is completely finished. The second reminder window for paying property taxes appears on the computer screen, with red text being particularly eye-catching. The 2-hour deadline is approaching rapidly. $98 on the books. Not to mention the $2,800,000 in property taxes. Even the cost of office supplies, which amounts to several thousand yuan, cannot be covered by the company. Lin Wanqing lay limp on the chair, her body freezing cold. The arrogance, and confidence that existed yesterday have completely disappeared. For the first time, she truly understood what it meant. The words, "Don't regret it," that I said yesterday were never meant as a threat or a way of provoking someone. It's a prediction that is incredibly accurate. She personally crushed away those 3 years of loyalty and affection that she never abandoned. All the collapses that have occurred so far are merely the beginning. The limited time period for the property service is now 2 hours away from now. The countdown is still ongoing. The door to the meeting room was suddenly pushed open. A person from the corporate legal department walked in quickly, carrying a stack of paper documents with him. The legal officer placed the documents carefully on the table. "President Lin, the situation continues to worsen. The property management has already contacted a lawyer. They do not accept any oral agreements. If the fees are not paid by the due date, the office space will be seized through legal procedures." Lin Wanqing sat in the main seat, with her back firmly against the back of the chair. Just now, after Gu Chen hung up the video call, she tried calling him multiple times, but all attempts resulted in connection failures. "Can't get in touch with Gu Chen?" The legal officer looked at her. "Can't reach him." Lin Wanqing's voice was hoarse. "His project has gone bankrupt, and he's probably trying to fix the mess instead of answering my calls." The HR director held a stack of resignation applications in his hands, his fingers scrolling across the pages of paper. "Another 27 people have submitted their resignations. Several senior technical directors have clearly stated that they must leave the company before the end of the day. Since they won't get their salaries anymore, they won't stay here any longer. Can we try to stabilize things for now? Let's create some illusions and make promises that will lead to future salary increases." Lin Wanqing spoke up. "It's useless." The HR director shook his head. "Everyone in the company knows that the account balance is insufficient. Those false promises can no longer deceive anyone. Some people have already started consulting with labor arbitration agencies, planning to sue the company for unpaid wages." The person in charge of the marketing department took out his phone and turned the screen towards the crowd. "There's one more thing to mention. Rumors have already started to spread within the industry circles. It is being reported within the industry that Chihing Group's funding chain has broken, and its key investors have withdrawn their investments. Several competing companies have already started spreading rumors, trying to steal the customer resources that we have. One bad piece of news after another hits hard, and the atmosphere in the meeting room becomes increasingly oppressive. Lin Wanqing still refuses to accept the reality of things. In her logic, I was just acting out of a momentary temper. As long as there are sufficient incentives and opportunities, I will definitely invest back 300 billion. "Please retrieve Jiang Yi's phone number again," she said to the secretary. The secret document seemed hesitant. "President Lin, when you tried to call earlier, you were blocked. Both WeChat and WeCom accounts were also blocked. Find a middleman." Lin Wanqing looked up at the executives present. "Among you, there will definitely be someone who knows his personal contact information. Find someone who has a decent relationship with him, and have them pass the message on." Everyone in the meeting room stared at each other, with no one taking the initiative to speak. After a while, the executive director spoke slowly. "I have access to his private WeChat account, but I don't think that passing messages around will be effective." "Just bring those words to him," Lin Wanqing said immediately. "Tell him that as long as he is willing to reinvest the funds into Chihing, all the previous decisions regarding his dismissal and prohibition on future employment will be annulled. I will cede some of my shareholder rights, and all decision-making authority over the project will be returned to him. All past conflicts will be settled once and for all." The executive director took out his phone and carefully typed out those words, then sent them out. The message was successfully sent. There is no red exclamation mark. Everyone was staring at the screen of the administrative director's phone, waiting for a response. 10 minutes have passed. 20 minutes have passed. The dialog box was completely silent, with no response at all. The executive director held up the screen of his mobile phone for everyone to see. No response. Lin Wanqing's face turned pale. Did he see it? Did he not receive any notifications at all? Jiang Yi used to respond to messages very quickly. It's impossible for such urgent messages to go unnoticed, said the executive director. He just doesn't want to respond. Lin Wanqing suddenly stood up. He's just trying to play games with us. He's waiting for us to lower our heads and beg him for help. After all, he still wants a higher position and more benefits. The conditions we offer aren't enough. The legal officer remained calm and spoke quietly from the side. President Lin, the reality is not like that. From a legal perspective, those funds actually belong to Jiang Yi personally. There was no permanent investment agreement signed between him and the company. The process of withdrawing funds is completely compliant with regulations. We have no intention of forcing him to invest again. But he can't just watch as his company collapses, Lin Wanqing replied loudly. Why? The legal officer asked in return. It was you who publicly ordered his dismissal from the company, and also declared that no one in the industry should ever work there again. He was cut off from any chance of continuing to work for that company. Anyone else would have had no obligation to continue supporting that company. These words hit Lin Wanqing hard, and she became very emotional. That was just some workplace joke. It was just a momentary outburst of anger. How can he not distinguish between jokes and truth? Next to him, an older senior executive sighed softly. President Lin, the message stating that no one will be hired anymore has already been sent to dozens of upstream and downstream companies. All companies have received this official notice. It's not just a statement of emotion. It's a written notice that has been sent out. This sentence feels like a bucket of cold water being poured down upon me. Lin Wanqing was stunned. It was then that she truly realized that the orders she had given earlier weren't just arbitrary statements made in the office. It's a real and effective countermeasure that has spread throughout the entire industry. Just then, the financial director's phone rang. It was a call from the bank's risk control department. The chief financial officer answered the call. After listening for half a minute, his expression became increasingly worried. After hanging up the phone, he turned to look at everyone present. Official notice from the bank's risk control department. We have learned that our major investor has withdrawn its funds, and the company's cash flow has reached zero. The company is required to provide sufficient assets as proof within 3 working days. Otherwise, our previous credit line will be revoked, and we will initiate post-loan inspections. If it is determined that the company lacks the ability to pay its debts, all loans will be collected immediately. Several muffled sounds of breathing could be heard in the conference room. Once the bank begins to collect the loan early, Qiheng will have no chance to struggle anymore. Lin Wanqing felt a layer of cold sweat emerge on her back. She still refused to let go of that part of her ego. She still deluded herself into thinking that I only wanted to make a modest attempt to get things right. Go and contact Gu Chen's old friends, and use third-party networks to get in touch with Jiang Yi. She issued another command. We can offer more chips, along with shares, positions, and dividends. The conditions can be whatever he wants. As long as he's willing to come back, everything else can be discussed. Even if he doesn't want to come back, can we discuss the possibility of borrowing some money temporarily to help the company get through this difficult time? After the crisis is over, we will be able to repay the loan along with the interest. The senior executives had to follow her arrangements and go separately to contact various intermediaries. I made several calls, and all the feedback was positive. The words I said were simply relayed by the intermediary. When my path was cut off back then, not even a fraction of room was left for me to make choices. Now, there's no need to discuss any kind of kindness or generosity anymore. What belongs to me, I take back, that's all there is to it. There is no room for negotiation, no possibility of temporary borrowing, and no room for flexibility in decision-making. The countdown for the property is down to only 40 minutes left. Outside the office, it can be seen that property management staff are standing in the lobby, waiting to carry out the closure of the building. Lin Wanqing slowly sat back down in the chair. The confidence and arrogance that I once had are gradually being worn away by reality. But there was still a glimmer of hope in her heart. She believed that by the time Gu Chen returned, the situation would definitely be able to be reversed. She still hasn't truly understood that once a decision is made, there is no way to undo it anymore. Crisis doesn't wait for anyone. Time simply continues to pass by. This defeat belongs to Qiheng. It is approaching step by step, without any possibility of resistance. The causal loop is now complete. Everything is settled.